Welcome to Voices of IIS, a space to learn about the wonderful people who work at IIS, explore fresh perspectives, and hopefully get inspired. Born in Delhi and having received his BSc in economics from the International Islamic University in Islamabad, his MA from Kazakh State University, his PhD from Tajik National University, Dr. Najam Abbas joined IIS just over 2 decades ago and is currently a research associate and editor in the Office of Academic and Student Affairs. In addition to being associated with the Encyclopaedia Islamica project since 2012, Najam is an editorial board member for the journal Central Eurasian Reader and appears frequently in the Muslim World Book Review. Welcome, Najam, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation.
Now, before we turn to your work at IIS, you undertook studies for your 3 degrees in 3 different countries, and I think there's a little bit more. Can you tell us a bit about how this came about?
I have been particularly privileged to travel and to see places and to learn at those places. My kindergarten was in Kowloon, Hong Kong. My primary schooling was in Dhaka, and then my secondary schooling was in Karachi. My university started for my BA at the Islamic University in Islamabad, where I did my BSc in Islamic economics with Arabic and fiqh. At that time, Middle East was the natural market for people to pursue careers. But by the time I completed my studies, the Soviet Union dissolved, and there was a whole new avenue of career progression opening up. So I thought if I learn one of the languages of those post-Soviet states and develop area expertise, I will become rather a unique person. One of the few people from Pakistan who would know either Uzbek, Tajik or Russian language, know Central Asia, which was up-and-coming field, and would get chances to contribute for research institutions or maybe for media institutions. So that took me to Almaty, where I started and went all the way, all but dissertation stage. It happened that my senior supervisor, Professor Yuri Krikonov, who was suffering from cancer, he passed away. And I was told that there will be a very long queue until all those pending dissertations are sorted, and then you will be allocated to a new, yet to be determined supervisor. At that time, it was new initiatives opening up in Central Asia. The Aga Khan Humanities Project for Central Asia was being launched. And the founder and initiator of that, Dr. Rafiq Keshavji, called me in December of 1997, asking me if I could come to Dushanbe so that we can have a meeting and explore what I can do for them. I took the invitation. 25 minutes down the interview, Rafiq asked me if I can join AKHP, which I took as a very fortunate opportunity for me. And from that point onwards, my journey started, and I registered myself to complete my PhD from Tajikistan National University in Dushanbe. So this is how 3 universities in 3 different countries.
That is fascinating. How many languages do you speak?
My great-grandfather was a poet of stature in Delhi, Ustaz Ibrahim Zauq. He was contemporary of Ustaz Asadullah Ghalib, a very well-known Urdu poet. So some of the literary, I think, traditions, have passed on. So Urdu being my mother tongue, then of course English medium schooling, and I picked up Punjabi when I was for 4 years in Islamabad studying for my BSc. And then when I went to Central Asia, I picked up Russian language. I took formal education there for Russian language, did many of translations, many works. I think there will be several dozens, if not hundreds, of translations from Russian into English language. And of course, Tajik and Farsi. And at times I was wondering what purpose and what utility I would have if I have 4 years of Arabic and 4 or 5 years of direct exposure to Russian instruction and to informal instruction in Persian. But in later years, after I joined IIS, it all the pieces fell together to fall in place together to do a very enriching and rewarding use of those languages put to use.
Now, before we get to IIS, you've already touched upon your initial engagement with the Aga Khan Humanities Project. So can you share a little bit more with us about your professional journey pre-IIS and sort of what led you to joining IIS and any pivotal experiences you may have had that shaped your path to joining IIS?
Absolutely. Having joined the AKHP led me to altogether different trajectory. It was daily interaction with people in teaching profession. The remit was to help produce training material for university level students of humanities to be equipped with new perspective, new angles and new approaches to look at history, society, community relations, civil society, empowerment, gender-related sensitivities. And it was working with a team who were driven by devotion, dedication, passion to come up with their best, to experiment with the best and to transmit the best. I consider those days one of most rewarding and memorable days because every day was an experiment and every day ended up with this is what we achieved. And of course, AKHP being part of AKDN, we were exposed to almost weekly interface with other AKDN partners. And it opened eyes to how education is and serves as a crucial component for all development endeavors. So this led to even wider exposure, and the activities of that initiative were not just limited to the capital Dushanbe. They were reaching out to ups and downs of all, to going all distances of not only Tajikistan, then areas bordering Tajikistan, for example, with Kyrgyzstan in Osh State University, and then they found partners in Kazakhstan as well. And every year more and more partners came up with requests that can they have a joint project to launch the New Humanities Project initiative. So it was a very, exciting experience.
Yeah, and it sounds quite sort of pivotal as well.
Indeed.
And so after AKHP, where did you go?
While I was still at AKHP, His Highness Aga Khan IV expressed the desire that there should be a university in Central Asia which could help address the needs in the post-Soviet setting with new perspective, new curriculum, new pedagogic approaches that could equip especially the marginalized people in mountain settings so that they become self-sufficient. Another lofty and very timely endeavor for people just coming out of the Soviet Union, and the government, or especially the Ministry of Education of those countries, didn't have enough resources to invite expertise from the world over and to launch and equip them with know-how, transfer of knowledge, transfer of teaching technology, transfer of pedagogic practices. And thanks to that endeavor, we launched that University of Central Asia, and I was privileged to be one of the first expatriates to be part of that endeavor. So I was at the signing ceremony in Dushanbe, in Astana, the capital of Kazakhstan, and in Bishkek, the capital of Kyrgyzstan.
That's amazing. That is just fascinating. So now you find yourself at IIS, coming on to nearly the end of 22 and a half years. Next year is going to be the end of your 23rd year, early next year. And you are crucially involved with the Encyclopaedia Islamica project. And this is a really massive undertaking of IIS. And for those who may be unfamiliar, can you explain to us what the Encyclopedia Islamica project is and why it's so significant?
In the English-speaking world, when we want to learn about Islam, one of the basic reference book which comes to mind is Encyclopedia of Islam, which started in 1913, and until 1938 it had the first edition. But after the First World War, and especially after the Second World War, the socio-economic, political, educational landscape changed. So hence there came out the second edition of the Encyclopedia of Islam. And then in the late 90s, there was the third and final edition. But after the dissolution of Soviet Union, after the emergence of many states, after development of internet, and after a wide range of scholarly, academic, and rare resources coming online, there was need to shed new light to areas from which contributions have not been adequately represented and showcased to the knowledge of the Western academia. Hence, Dairatul Maarif-e Islamiyya Buzurg, this is a major initiative in Tehran, which is translated as the Greater Islamic Encyclopedia, which aspires to be in 46 volumes, reached out to Brill and to the Institute of Ismaili Studies if they could join hands to bring attention to the contribution to history, civilization, culture, and Islamic sciences by the contributions which are so far less known from the Persian world, from Central Asia, from the Khorasan, which is Afghanistan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and other parts of the country, that region. And luckily, this proposal was approved and initiated. And in 2005, we had the first volume published from Brill, of course, being one of the largest academic publishers in business for over 200 years. It will be a 16-volume endeavor. We have brought out volume 8. Volume 9 is near completion, expected to come out in late 2026 or early 2027. And it is making a very rich contribution on its own.
And in which languages is this available?
3 versions are there, both online as well as in print. The Persian version, the Arabic version. So the publishers in Iran are responsible for that. For the English version, the Institute of Ismaili Studies has a team of editors who work and take care that all the expectations, requirements, and needs of Western readers are met with due diligence. And that version comes every 2 years, a volume in English.
And is my understanding correct that IIS's contribution is, so it's in the editing, it's in the translation, but also it's in the creation of these new entries, so the creation of this sort of new knowledge that you had spoken about for those that were less known?
Of course, encyclopedia is a very dynamic process. Subjects needs updating, bibliographies need a new perspective in order to make them more insightful, more educative, more instructive, and carry and transmit more education value. Of course, we not only carry out some input from the Farsi version, but we commission many articles of our own. Sometimes we take a draft from the Farsi, but we rewrite it altogether, updating it throughout and improving the quality as much as is possible.
Wonderful thing. I mean, it is a massive undertaking, and I think its footprint is going to be huge, right? Because when we want to learn something, okay, in today's digital age, we might go to Google, but you would go to an encyclopedia to learn. And I think academics probably are still doing this, and the fact that it's available online, and this is going to be the first reference point, is something quite massive and amazing for IIS to be involved in.
In one word, it is eye-opening. Because if you look at the entries, if you look at the experts cited, if you look at the references, before the launch of this encyclopedia, there will be only a very tiny niche of people who are deep into studies of Persia, studies of Khorasan, and studies of Central Asia would know closely. Otherwise, a large majority of readers in English and those who teach mysticism, those who teach esoteric sciences, those who teach about how epistles of the brethren, the Risail Akhwan Safa, how they evolved and how they have left a deep impact in a wide region of Persia and Transcaucasia. We would not have been in a position to learn about that. So many aspects of that encyclopedia, in fact, is facilitating that knowledge to be created and to be transmitted.
That's wonderful, and it's definitely something for to keep an eye out on because it's quite a long project. Okay, so now having been with IIS for over 2 decades, what have been some of the standout moments or achievements that you look back on most fondly?
First of all, it's personal level. The support which I find, the respect, the regard, I don't think it is. It can be matched at other places at that sustained level. This is first. Then motivation for learning. The moment you enter the premises, the moment you interface with any of the personnel representing IIS or its partners, the moment you enter an educational program, be it a lecture or a workshop or a seminar or a conference or a meeting about a future publication, you find yourself on a trajectory of innovation, initiative, of creativity. Why don't we experiment with this? Why don't we do it a better way? Always eager to do it better and better. So this keeps on motivating, and this keeps one on his feet to ever improve, ever learn, ever deliver in a better and better manner. And there are many people who have left a very deep and lasting impact. So I feel very grateful to be part of such endeavor.
And before we wrap up, can you speak to us about what you're most passionate about at this stage in your career and what you're looking forward to in the months ahead?
Again, when one feels that one has traversed over 22 years and perhaps have read many things, there comes new tools, new platforms, and new vistas of learning, like artificial intelligence applications, like learning models, like language models. And I think 2 months back, Digital Humanities Initiative had a workshop. And ever since that workshop, I think my free time and my weekends, I am experimenting with what I have learned so far, how putting it into those applications could do. And each time I am impressed, I am surprised how it can improve pedagogic content, how it can improve presentations, how it can allow to transmit to a wider audience, for example, for the world in Islam and living traditions, and for public-facing products. I am very eager and excited to explore further where such innovations could take us.
I think we're sort of all there, aren't we? And that's a wonderful space to sort of end on because we have yet to learn about and to figure out what all of this means and what the impact it's going to have on the work that we do in research and higher education. But it's exciting times ahead. I have to ask, are there any languages you don't speak that you wish you could speak?
I did attempt Turkish, which sounds very sweet. So I took elementary courses, but I couldn't develop it further to the extent which I need. So it will always be a desire. But of course, a learning process never ends, never stops. Hopefully one day I would have a chance.
Maybe next time we have this interview and I ask you the number of languages you speak, Turkish will be on the list. Our time is up. So I wanted to thank our guest, Najam Abbas. It's been a real pleasure having this conversation with you. And to our listeners, thank you for spending your valuable time with us today. With so many podcasts out there, we're truly grateful you chose to tune in to ours. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. That's a wrap for today. I'm Selena, and you've been listening to Voices of IIS. Until next time, take care.